Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the podcast that really tries to unpack the stories behind the headlines, get right to the core of things.
Absolutely.
And today we're stepping into a world that's, well, it's often pretty murky, isn't it? The world of alternative investments.
Yeah, those ones outside the usual stocks and bonds, they sound incredibly alluring.
Totally. That promise of sky-high returns, it really catches the eye. But the hidden complexities, they can leave you feeling completely lost.
Mm-hmm. And in that landscape, some names just keep cropping up, don't they?
They do.
One name that appears again and again linked to various, let's say, schemes is William Jackson.
Right. For a lot of investors, his ventures seemed, well, full of promise, but the reality often turned into this pattern of delays, unanswered questions.
We're talking about quite a history here. You've got past companies like Platinum, West Chevington, Northumberland Living.
And the newer ones, too, like A Venture in Climate, WH2022, Verdant Global.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the playbook, it feels really, really similar each time.
It's this cycle, isn't it? A new project kicks off, there are promises of amazing returns, loan notes get issued.
And maybe we should just clarify what loan notes means here. For anyone listening who's not sure.
Good point.
We're basically talking about a type of debt. An IOU, really. It promises you a certain return over a set time. Companies use them to raise money for specific things, like property developments or renewable energy projects, which is often what these firms claim they're doing.
Got it. So the loan notes are issued, the promises are made, and then?
Then the payments start getting delayed. Mm-hmm. The updates become, well, vague is putting it mildly.
And the investors just left hanging, left in the dark.
Yeah, kind of suspended animation. And that's the point, isn't it? When the frustration starts to bubble up, when people demand some clarity.
That's when another key figure seems to always appear, not really behind the scenes pulling strings.
No, she's described as being just in front of the problems. Always there when things get difficult.
The public face, almost.
You could say that. Yeah. She's become this sort of gatekeeper of silence for these operations, managing the information flow, or maybe the deliberate lack of flow when things go wrong.
And that person is the focus of our deep dive today, Irene McKenzie.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to unpack her role, this really unique, pivotal position she seems to hold. We need to look at those repeated patterns in these investment schemes.
And figure out what it all means for you, the listener, whether you're thinking about investing or maybe already are.
Yeah, we want to cut through all that vagueness, that fog, and try to get to what's really happening.
Because for many investors, Irene McKenzie is literally the only voice they hear.
Right. When payments stop, when the promises just evaporate.
She's listed officially as head of investor relations. But the actual experience people report, it sounds less like solving problems.
And more like controlling the story.
Precisely. Carefully managing the narrative.
So what does that actually look like? If you're an investor desperate for answers, what kind of communication do you get? Paint us a picture.
Well, it's described as very specific. You might get polite emails, maybe quite professional sounding, or perhaps an invitation to a scheduled call.
Okay.
But often it's just silence. Radio silence.
Yeah.
And when she does respond, the tone is apparently very calm, very composed.
I bet the content.
Critically vague. You won't get clear timelines. No direct answers to tough questions. Definitely no real insight into, what's actually going wrong operationally or financially.
But it's designed to kind of soothe people, but without actually telling them anything useful.
That seems to be the effect, yes. Soothe without informing.
And if we link that back to the bigger pattern, we talked about the new project, the high hopes, then the slowdown, the missed payments. How does her role fit into that cycle?
It fits perfectly. Every time one of these ventures hits that crunch point delayed payments, rising investor anger, Irene McKenzie is there.
Still taking calls, still sending emails.
Apparently so. Still acting as that front face in person for Jackson's companies, even while people are waiting, often desperately, for news about their money.
It sounds like a crucial role in keeping up appearances then. Maintaining the facade.
It certainly looks that way.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, I think. We looked into her professional background a bit. What did you find there? Anything that complicates this picture?
Well, yeah. Her background, which she apparently used to list on LinkedIn, included experience in, or wait for it, fraud detection.
Fraud detection? At Lloyd's Bank, wasn't it?
That's right. Along with legal and compliance work. Now that profile's gone, but the implications, they're pretty significant.
Why so significant? I mean, on one hand, you'd think someone with that background, spotting financial red flags, ensuring compliance.
You'd expect them to either flag issues internally, really early on, or, well, frankly, to get out. to distance themselves from operations that look questionable.
Exactly. But she stays.
Precisely. And this isn't just an odd career move. It's just something more strategic, perhaps.
How?
Think about it. Having someone with a compliance or fraud detection background on staff, especially in a visible role like investor relations, it can lend a sort of false sense of security.
Ah, like using trust as a shield.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives this veneer of legitimacy, of things being properly handled, even when underneath investors are still being left completely in the dark.
That's quite a calculated way to manage perception.
It appears very calculated, and she has remained very consistently, very closely tied to Jackson's ventures. There was even a point apparently where she distanced herself from another company linked to someone else, Sonali Craddock, to focus solely on William Jackson's operations.
So circling back, what is her role really? Because some might just say, look, she's head of investor relations. She's just doing her job during tough times. How do you square that with the patterns we're seeing?
Well, on the surface, yes, it could look like a standard IR role. But it's the consistency across multiple ventures, all hitting similar problems, combined with that very specific type of communication, the calm vagueness that suggests something more. She's answering for the companies. She's the one reassuring people when the money stops.
Holding the line, essentially,
Right.
between the company and the frustrated investors.
Exactly, holding that line. Her calm, professional approach probably helps prevent immediate widespread panic. It might even disorganize collective action among the victims. Buys time.
Which is invaluable for these operations, presumably.
Invaluable.
So this isn't just a case of, say, bad customer service or maybe an overwhelmed support team.
That doesn't feel like it. It feels more systemic, like a deliberate approach.
A pattern where people are sold an investment, promised the world.
And then, when it doesn't deliver, they're effectively sidelined, pushed aside.
And her job seems to be making sure that frustration, those demands for real answers, for accountability, don't reach the people right at the top.
That certainly seems to be the function she performs. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the long game here? And what keeps her right there at the center of a system that seems to keep, breaking down?
Yeah. As we wrap this up, that role of Irene McKenzie just hangs there. It's so enigmatic, she's not hidden away.
No, she's just in front.
Right. So the questions remain. Is she just a messenger caught in the middle, or is she actively helping maintain this system? A system that, time after time, leaves investors waiting and wondering.
Why does she stay? Why remain at the heart of these operations?
And it brings us right back to that overall pattern, doesn't it?
It does. Investment schemes promising the moon, high returns, then missed payments, communication just drying up, investors left totally in the dark.
And it's crucial to stress, this isn't just about one or two companies having a bad run. It feels like something more systemic.
A system where when things go south, the people whose money's involved are just managed, kept at bay.
It really makes you think about that question from the source material we looked at.
The one about holding the gate shut.
Yeah. How long can she hold the gate shut before everything behind it finally comes crashing through? It's a powerful thought. Makes you really question the sustainability, the ethics of it all.
It really does. And look, if you're listening and any of this sounds familiar, maybe you're in a similar situation.
Perhaps considering an investment and want some proper checks done on the people or companies involved.
Or maybe you're already owed money and the company's just gone silent on you. There is help out there.
You really do deserve answers. You deserve action.
And you deserve to work with a team you can actually see, who are experienced and who are accountable for what they do.
Absolutely.
For help with these kinds of investigations, with trying to get behind the curtain, you can reach out to Insolvency and Law.
How can people do that?
The best way is email. Just send a message to investigations@insolvencyandlaw.co.uk.
Okay, let's repeat that. Investigations@insolvencyandlaw.co.uk.
That's the one. Because ultimately, you shouldn't be left in the dark.